What's up, guys? This is John the Skate Better, and today I'm going to talk about bearings. So I think when I first started skating, I didn't really understand the difference between bearings, why some are more expensive, why some are less expensive, why people pop the shields, X, Y, and Z. So after experimenting for a while, I feel like I could give a pretty good review on what that looks like. So I'm going to start with this. And just before we get into it, this review is going to be mostly focused on Bronson bearings versus Bones bearings. Those are what I've had the most experience with. I think those are two of the most popular bearings out right now, in my opinion, so I'm going to do a review on those. So start with the Bones Reds. These bearings are like 15 bucks, and this is my fiance's board. And as you can see, they still roll really well. So these have been on the board for about 6 months now. Still rolling fine, she doesn't skate as much as I do, but really good bearings for 15 bucks. And I'd say when you're talking about bearings, there isn't a crazy big difference. So let's say like a 10 is the fastest bearing, a 0 is like some really crappy brand that you've never heard of before, like this is like a Bones Swiss or something really expensive. These Bones Reds are like a 7. So there's not too much of a difference between really fast, really expensive bearing and then something for 15 bucks. However, if you skate all the time, you skate often, you want to go fast, there is a difference, and it's just about how much money you're willing to throw down. So, Bones Reds, $15, $17 bearing. I will say that I tried the Bronson V2s. So those look like this. They're in the raw case, but this is what they look like. They have shields on them. And I popped the shields, but I popped them incorrectly, and they lasted like maybe 5 minutes, but that was my bad. But also, they didn't feel good. Even just when I had them on, they just didn't feel great. They felt like a little bit crappier than Bones Reds, and I've skated Bones Reds before myself. So, wasn't a huge fan of the Bronson V2s. Huge fan of the Bronson Raws, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so Bones Reds, nice and quiet, will definitely last you a while. 15, 17 bucks, great. If you like are balling on a budget or it's your first bearing, I would start with something like that. Because if you're just starting skating, you're not going to want to go crazy fast either, and you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to do tricks fast. It's probably going to scare you. So, great bearing, Bones Reds. I'll talk about the Bones Swiss next. So I don't have those on a deck right now. However, I did skate Bones Swiss bearings for a year. And what I mean by that is I put them on my deck and I skated them and they lasted a year. So I didn't pop the shields on them. And that being said, there's a reason that a lot of pro skaters that are sponsored by other bearing companies are riding Bones Swiss, because it's the best bearing. I mean, for 60 bucks, yeah, it's really expensive, but think about this. It's gonna last you a year, right? So you buy 4 Bones Reds. You're gonna have to probably replace those every, I'd say 5 to 6 months, 4 to 6 months anyway. But you get one really good bearings from Bones Swiss. It's fast. So I remember the first time I put them on I had never skated Bones Swiss before. I was always skating like Reds or like some more cheaper bearing or whatever, on delay, shake jump. And I put them on, and I remember thinking, I took one push, and I was like, man, these are really fast. So I do think they are faster. I'd say, like, I put them on scale. Let's say that's a 10. Bone Swiss is like a 10. It's the fastest bearing I know. Fastest bearing I've skated. Super smooth, super quiet. Literally feel like when you do this, it literally goes forever. You get what you pay for to an extent, I think, with bearings. And Bone Swiss, the quality is there. They're going to last you a long time. They're going to go fast. They're going to be smooth. I didn't have really any issues with them at all for an entire year. I skated them in the rain. I had them go in the dirt and things like that, and never had an issue. A couple pushes and like the issue kind of resolved itself, and that was with the shields on. So yeah, if you want to spend money, Bone Swiss, man. I mean, it's probably the best bearing on the market. Now, we'll talk about Bronson. So lately, I've been skating these Bronson Raws. So that means that they come with the shield popped. So you can see into the bearing, you can see the little bearing balls inside, and they sound like this. So very audible, and the theory behind the shield pop, dirt gets in, dirt comes out. I would say it's true. I have had experience with that. So I was doing hippie jumps at a park one day, and my board rolled into the sand, and there was like a piece of something stuck in it, and I was like, man, my bearing is broken, and I pushed around on it for like 5 minutes, not even like 2 minutes, and it resolved itself. Like whatever was in there got out, and I was rolling smooth again. So I do think that the theory works, and I would also argue that if you have a shield on, that's probably not going to happen. You're not going to get anything in, but if you were to get something in and the shield was off, then yeah, it could get out again. So I'm personally gonna pop my shields now. I'm not sure how I feel about the sound. I think I've gotten used to it, and now I just kind of roll around and I'm like, hey, whatever. Like they see me rolling, they hate me or whatever. But at first I was like, man, why would I want to be super loud? And I think it's just a fun factor. It's fun. It's fun to roll around with bearings that are like a little bit louder. I'm not gonna lie. And like think about this: when you're rolling around on a skateboard, even if you're not have your shields popped, you're still gonna be making noise. Your board's gonna be rolling over the gravel. So it's really not that much of an audible difference, but like yeah, at the skate park on smooth pavement, absolutely, you will hear it more than like another deck that has its shields on. And side note, if you're gonna pop the shields on your bearings, you'll only pop one side. So I just wanna make sure people know that. I didn't know that like a while ago, and I popped both, and like my bearings got destroyed. Same thing that happened with the Bronsons. So you just pop one side of the bearing, that's the side that shows on the outside of the wheel, and that's it. And you'll know which side to pop because it'll be the flatter side. The other side of the bearing will have more of like a rounded shield on it. So if you're gonna pop it. That being said, Bronson Raws, $35 for this bearing, and I think it's great. I think it's as good as a Swiss. It's not quite as fast, not quite as smooth, but if the bone Swiss was a 10, I would put this bearing at a 9. So I'm giving love to Bronson right now. I have them on 2 decks, and I'm just loving it, man. Like once again, for $35, I'm saving myself an extra $15 to $20 on a bearing, and they still go fast. They're still really smooth. Haven't had any issues with wear and tear, and like when you feel the bearing, it just feels like a solid nug in your hand. Like it just feels like it's not gonna crap out on you. It's like something about the way that they make it. You'll see if you get them. But yeah, you can pick them up at almost any skate store right now. You go to Zoomies if you have to, no big deal, and pick these bearings up. So that's it. That's all I got for bearings reviews. I hope your next session's awesome, and be safe.